escape velocity is an SMG that I have absolutely abused, especially going into Master and Legend launch sectors. When they first came out, when was that? I think it was last year before Beyond Light, or maybe it was a year ago. I can't remember. It's all a blur now. This was the SMG that I used for both overloads and for anti-barriers, depending on what perks or what artifact perks were available in which seasons. And if you watch some of my earlier Master and Legend Lost Sector videos, you're probably going to see this gun. It's that good. Now, we're not going to go with our meta build for SMGs today. I'm going to give you this gun right here. This roll as the god roll, and there's a huge reason for that. But first, I need to pick up some ammo. The roll you see here is normally what I would go with on any SMG. This would be the god roll for this gun, given the perks that are available. But I'm going to push back against that, and this is coming from a PvE perspective. I'm going to give you a roll that is not using all of these S-tier perks, or supposedly S-tier perks. The problem with escape velocity is I think a lot of people grabbed this gun and vaulted it, so they have all these different perks selected, but you don't really know what's great. Now, obviously, like, I don't know why steady rounds is there. I really don't. Why is this being used by PvPers? Accurized, I 100% understand for PvPers. And I don't know why we have 3 sites that are all S tier here. Quick draw I can get for PvP. I can understand that. But honestly, for PvP, why wouldn't you go Vorpal? And people are doing that here. But I really don't understand why that's an S tier perk. Or supposedly. Now, the thing to remember about Gunsmith is that the same with like.gg, it's going to show you the perks that people have equipped, not what people have rated. And this is important to remember. The roll that I got is mind-blowing. I've done so much with it. It's really served me well in PvE. I don't use it in PvP, although I could. Actually, I think I have used it in PvP, and it was pretty good. But I just don't really like SMGs in PvP. I actually went with Model 8 Red. So, as I said earlier, the ones that I've selected right now are what I would normally expect to be the god roll for this gun. But the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is the purpose of this weapon? And I have always used this against champions in solo endeavors in the game. Master, Legend, Lost Sectors. I've used it in Nightfalls. I think I've even used it in, I have used it in GM Nightfalls. Yeah, I have, absolutely. This gun has been used for endgame content, and it has served me very well. And it's funny because most people I play with don't even use this thing or understand how great it is. This is one of the best kinetic SMGs in the game, and yes, that's my opinion, but I've also put my money where my mouth is, and I've used it in that content and had a great time. This gun feels amazing. So let's start off with talking about scopes. Generally, when I see one of these square scopes, the models, these are probably going to be the best on the gun. I don't really like these too much, and I don't know why. These are gold. It could be because there is a previous version of this weapon, and these were probably what was used at the time for whatever reason. I don't know. I could BS all day long and be wrong. I can fully understand why Model 6 Loop is being used here, because you do get +8 range, which is amazing, and you also get +7 handling. And I do like the zoom. But what I found is I'm actually using Model 8 Red. Basically, what we do by switching to Model 8 Red is we add +1 to the zoom, and we're going from +8 range to +11 range. So this is kind of like, this would be kind of like in barrel language, this would be maybe, you'd be going from hammer forge to full bore. So this would be our full bore, kind of, sort of. And watch the range perk up here. So we have 40 on this thing. And we're going to click on this, and boom, we're up to 43 now. Stability went down a little bit. This gun actually has a lot of stability, especially compared with kinetics like Cold Front, which my Cold Front roll has 12 stability. It doesn't really need it. And this gun doesn't need a lot of help either. This thing actually feels really good. So stability and handling are not what you need to focus on. All right, so we're going to click on Model 8 Red. Hands down, the best scope in the on the weapon. If you look at these, you don't have any range buff. Yeah, it's not nearly as good as the models. The models are the top ones, and you can totally go with Model 8 Red. You don't need the handling that Model 6 Luke gives you. It's completely unnecessary. Target acquisition with this weapon is easy. It's great. All right. Normally, I would go with Tac Mag on an SMG. This is hands down my favorite mag. I tell you guys all the time, and you get +1 in the mag. +1 in the mag is always a little bonus, although not necessary, especially if you have good reload. Now, this gives you +9 reload speed, which I really like on SMGs, and it gives you +4 stability. So if we go on up to accurized rounds, it's interesting. Flared magwell isn't necessary. The +13 is nice, but I went with accurized rounds. And if you're using this gun in endgame content, range matters. You're going to be picking at things at a longer distance because they're trying to kill you and they hit harder. So you have to use cover. You can't just run up to things and kill them. Although I do know people who get really lucky in video games and they can do anything and never die. And then you have those of us who, like, everything just hard focuses you. So I chose to go with just straight up range on this thing. You get +9 range. And if we look at our 43, that now brings us up to 52. We're getting some really good range on this gun. Drop mag I used to like on sidearms. They ruined it. Yeah, nothing else has the range here that this has. Nothing. This is your range buff. I have no problem going with accurized rounds over Tac Mag in this case. And then in this column, I really love Threat Detector on SMGs because it gives you just a wicked fast reload. It's really a great perk, and I almost always slap it on SMGs. And I think what's interesting is I find that I slap it on energy SMGs more than kinetics, and this is a kinetic. I might have to look through my vault and find out if that's really true, but I have kind of seen the trend. What I went with here is Overflow. And Overflow is an interesting perk. I have this on my Gnawing Hunger, and I love it, but I also use Gnawing Hunger for endgame content, so I'm getting a lot of special, I'm getting a lot of heavy, and I'm always rocking it and getting just those god tier spray and brays. They're amazing. And with escape velocity, if you're using this in those Master and Legend Law sectors, using them Nightfalls, you're going to be picking up your special and your heavy. Now remember, and you saw this in the intro to the video, you have to use your special and your heavy, because if you're not actually picking up those bricks, you're not going to proc Overflow. So there are some situations where you're better off just wasting an ammo so you can pick up a brick to proc Overflow. So Overflow, picking up special or heavy ammo, reloads this weapon to beyond normal capacity. And you saw at the beginning of the video just how long we were able to fire before we had to reload. And what's interesting is I didn't even notice the reload on this gun. I really didn't. It must be a pretty good reload because it didn't bother me. I can't even remember it. Now, if it's a slow reload, it's going to irritate the heck out of me. And so I don't think we need to even worry about Threat Detector. I almost think Threat Detector would be a waste on this gun, to be honest. And finally, in the last column, you've got all these great little perks. I could see why Quick Draw would be used in PvP, but when you have Vorpal available, I would go with Vorpal for both PvP and PvE. And this is a red perk. This is used by PvPers. And the reason why is because if someone pops super and they're coming at you, you want to be able to shoot them and do that extra damage against them. And Vorpal lets you do extra damage against Guardians with their super. It also gives you increased damage against bosses. And this is the only definition in the game where, I believe it's the only definition in the game where champions are included under the term bosses. So this also means champions. So it's increased damage against bosses and champions. And this is important because the combination we're going with for our god roll, again, it's for endgame PvE content. And you're going to be using this against champions whenever there's an SMG mod available on the artifact. So there you have it. That's a very easy god roll. This is exactly what I use. And when I looked at my roll and I thought about what I wanted, I noticed I didn't have Tac Mag, and I was like, man, Tac Mag is the best mag in the game. Why wouldn't I have this on this gun? And then I really thought about it, and I looked at the stats, and you just don't need Tac Mag. You don't need it. This thing doesn't need any help. Just go straight with Model 8 Red and accurized rounds to get that range buff. Finally, for your masterwork, so I really do have the god roll of this gun, because not only do I have the roll that we just discussed, Model A, Accurized, Overflow, and Vorpal, but I've got a range masterwork on this thing, and you can see how much range it gives you with the yellow bar there. So let's pop the range on here, and we'll click on the 10 here to actually apply it. That takes us up to 61 range. That is a lot of range for an SMG, guys. That's a lot of range, and it serves me very well. As far as perks down here goes, if you're fighting champions, you're going to want to go with a, where is it? Yeah, full auto trigger on a full auto SMG. That's a good one. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. You're going to want to go with major spec for champions. And there you go. It's all decked out. It's perfect. One of the reasons why we can get away with going with range buffs instead of stability and handling is because this is a lightweight frame. Oh, look, I have boss spec from previous seasons when you used to have to use it on champions. We'll do that. With a lightweight frame, you have superb handling, and you can move faster with this weapon equipped. And that's exactly why we don't have to use fluted barrel or anything like that. We can just go in and have a good time. And we just picked up ammo, so we have overflow.
If you'd like to support this channel, liking and commenting on the videos tells YouTube to share these videos with others who may find them useful. If you'd like to provide monetary support to help keep this channel up and running, visit my locals and Subscribe Star communities.